Get right over to Chief Meteorologist Tara Lane. And Tara, we've had a few lulls in the Charlotte area, but that's not going to be the case overnight because the winds are really going to pick up.
That's right. The wind is really going to be an issue, along with some torrential bands of rain that could produce those quick spin up tornadoes like we had. You mentioned that EF1 confirmed tornado, if you hadn't heard, in the Blowing Rock area that touched down at about 6:38 yesterday evening. We also had, even around this time last night, we were reporting on that possible tornado, which nothing was confirmed, just to the west of the Boone area in Watauga County. But just goes to show we've seen several of those. We had a couple earlier today, even across parts of the Charlotte Metro, and just those quick spin ups in this type of tropical environment. Those types of things are always possible, and that's why. So here we are, we're getting into the overnight hours here coming up, and we're talking about really some of the heavier activity before sunrise in the morning. So while a lot of you are still trying to stay asleep out there, so before going to bed tonight, if you haven't done so already, make sure you have multiple ways to receive alerts. Turn Do Not Disturb off on your phone. Have that NOAA weather radio. If you do have that, free Pinpoint weather app can send you those alerts as well. And charge all devices, of course, and be prepared to seek higher ground, and especially living in those flood prone areas, of course, highest elevations where we're still looking at the potential for some of that catastrophic flooding and possible landslides by the time all is said and done. Now, again, that tornado risk, it's there. We've been talking all about it here coming up for the past couple of days. It continues overnight through about 8 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. It does include the Charlotte Metro, south and east for now, east along that stretch of Highway 74 and heading out toward the Sandhills in the eastern part of the state. We do not have any active tornado warnings right now, but certainly plenty of flood alerts happening where flooding has been taking place, as we saw with Daniel Pierce's report along the Mountain Island Lake area. Flood advisories encompassing where at least some minor flooding has been happening, and areas of standing water, of course, on the roads across the Charlotte area up through Cabarrus County, and where you see those red outlines. Flooding is happening, and some of the mountain communities rising water levels along some of the streams and creeks, and the water is still coming from the sky here, falling out of the clouds. Flash flood warning again continues. Caldwell County, just one of those counties, into about 2 o'clock tomorrow morning at least. Heavy rain continues at times southwest of Boone, out toward the Marion area, coming in from Rutherford County. It's all pushing in from the south. Here's that little bit of a break I showed you earlier here through upstate South Carolina. Chester, Lancaster seeing a bit of a lull, and that was in the forecast too, but it's not going to last long. We have another band that's going to be pushing in here over the next couple of hours. And then looking south of there, look at these red polygons. It looks like they had a confirmed tornado around Savannah, Georgia, one that was visible and touching down, and still several tornado warnings in place. Those bands coming in. That's why the tornado threat will continue for us as eventually Helene gets a little bit closer through the night. Flash flood risk will continue to be highest where you see that pink and purple color, mountains and foothills, with several more inches, up to about 5 to 7 more inches possible, and some of those higher elevations there, about 1.5 to 3-4 inches from the Piedmont and up into the foothills, living up toward the Hickory area of additional rain. Then we're talking about an inch, inch and a half east along Highway 74 and then out toward the Sandhills. So there is Helene in the process of making that landfall, as we saw from Kristen's report down there around Tallahassee, Florida, the Big Bend coast area. We also have this stalled front that's been bringing the waves of rain, so more of that tropical moisture pushing in. Forecast track showing it could still be a Category 2 hurricane by the time it moves into west and southwest Georgia early about 2 o'clock on Friday morning coming up. And that track pushes it west of us, but keep in mind it's a large storm, so those impacts go far and wide, just wrapping in all of that moisture. And talking about the wind too, all of that gusty wind, which the wind has been picking up here today. Not as bad as it's going to be early tomorrow morning. Currently we have about 20 to 25 mile per hour wind gusts, but check it out as we look ahead into about 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. Notice how those numbers increase into the 40 to close to 50, 60 mile per hour range. That will last until about 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. It's still going to be breezy and gusty into the afternoon, but not as blustery as what we have coming up tomorrow morning. And the afternoon, in fact, tomorrow will be drier as we check it out on future radar. So 2 o'clock in the morning, that's when we start to see that widespread shield of more torrential rain moving in. And look at these bright bands showing up by around 5 to 7 o'clock in the morning. That's where we could see some of those quick spin up tornadoes. So that starts to lift north. There we are about 9, 10, 11 o'clock, lifting up into the northwest Piedmont. Piedmont mountains and foothills. Once we move past lunchtime, we're already starting to see some of the breaks in the clouds, and most of the rain is over and done with at that point. 7-day forecast shows the chance of showers will continue, actually, with some of that lingering wraparound moisture. Not, though, nearly as much rain coming up for the weekend. A couple of spotty showers, including if you're headed out to the Panthers game on Sunday.
All right, looking